Okay, it's the Premier League results show. Boxing Day fixtures. Let's get started. The early kickoff was at Craven Cottage. Fulham at home to Wolves. The two promoted sides who've had contrasting seasons so far. Team news. Neves left out for Wolves, which was a bit of a surprise by Nino Espirito Santo. Anyway, to the game. It was a bright start. 10 minutes, Mitrovic header from a cross by Schürrle just went wide. And at the other end, Jimenez showed his skills by collecting the ball in the air, swivelling, and then with his back to goal, he did an audacious overhead kick, which just went over. That was 12 minutes. Another sweet move by Fulham on the 25th minute. Again across to the far post, and Mitrovic effort was handled easily by the keeper. A little bit later, another chance for Mitrovic, who basically his effort whistled past the post. And then on 39 minutes, all his own work, he created a chance with some neat trickery, but unfortunately the shot was blocked easily by the keeper. So we got to the interval with Fulham on top, but goalless. Into the second half then, and it certainly was an improvement from Wolves as they started to take stock of the game. They were dominating possession, but there were no clear-cut chances as yet. So Sessegnon was brought on by Ranieri, and his first chance for Fulham on 70 when he got to the byline and clipped in a cross which defended well. But the same man, Sessegnon, after a muddle in the Wolves defence on 73, and he was sort of on the edge of the box, and he hit the ball and it scraped over the line. The goalkeeper making a vain effort to keep it out. So Fulham were 1-up. After that, Wolves were in command, and they've certainly jacked up the pressure. And it was inevitable as Fulham were getting more and more behind the ball that they would concede. And on 84 minutes they did. A cross from the left, beautiful cross, and Saiss was on the end to force it over the line. So that was 1-1, but poor defending from Wolves nearly let Fulham in at the end, and Mitrovic's effort was frantically cleared off the line. So that's how it ended, 1-1. To the King Power Stadium, Leicester at home to Manchester City. Now, Manchester City had come off that defeat to Palace. So what was going to happen today? Aguero was named captain. De Bruyne was in from the start. Still no Fernandinho, though. Would they miss him? And it looked not like they wouldn't, because within 14 minutes, Bernardo Silva finished off a really neat move with a great assist from Aguero, and City were 1-up. But Leicester were having none of it. On 19 minutes on the break, Vardy's cross was chipped to inch perfect, and Brighton was there to nod the ball past Edison, so we were 1 each. After that, City back on top, and they forced a couple of clumsy errors from Schmeichel, but he wasn't punished. Vardy also failed to take advantage of a poor pass in the defence, and Chandru's effort was tipped away by Edison. So we went into the second half 1 each, and Leicester were holding on well. In fact, they were looking the better side. Fernandinho sadly missed by City, and then on 81 minutes An absolutely tremendous strike from Ricardo forced the City faithful to consider the possibility of back-to-back defeats. Edison had no chance with Ricardo's shot, and that was how it stayed. Well, Delph ended up getting a red card after a nasty scissor tackle, but it's back-to-back defeats for City, and Leicester, they've done a number on Chelsea and Man City in the same week. So to Old Trafford, Solskjaer's first home game as coach, and he was all smiles as he walked to the dugout. Huddersfield were the visitors. They caused a headache for United last season of beating the Reds at their home patch. Martial was ill, Lukaku still on compassionate leave, but Jones was in defence with Young on the bench, Shaw in. Dello continued at right back. First chance after 9.5 minutes went to the Terrys, who were looking very positive, and it fell to Congolo. He managed to hook the ball over the bar from 5 yards. Lucky United. A Lingard strike on 15 was easily handled by Losel. Then a free kick from Pogba on the edge of the box, cannoned off the wall for a corner, and this was in minute 28. The resulting corner, Lindelof got his head to it. It went across goal, and Matic was there to tap it in. So 1-0 to United. On 39 minutes, some great work from Rashford. He put the ball through the legs of the defender. Nice cross. Dalot running in, managed to hit the ball wide. It should have been 2-0, but it remained 1 at the break. Into the second half, and Huddersfield certainly having the better of things early on. Herrera was brought on 52 minutes to tighten up the defence a little in midfield, and but on 61 minutes, De Potre connected from a corner, and De Gea had to be alert, palming it wide. 63 minutes, a nice weaving run from first Rashford, then he put the ball to Mata, who got to the byline, pushed it back, and it eventually landed at Pogba's feet, and he hit the ball into the corner, and it was 2-0 United. On 78 minutes, another great strike from Pogba made it 3-0 in the same corner, and all of a sudden the smiles were back. Paul Pogba was king of Old Trafford. So anyway, they were coasting at this stage, but inadvertently Huddersfield got a consolation near the end. But the Old Trafford faithful were happy, and United had their second win under Solskjaer. The result 3-1. So Liverpool riding high entertained Newcastle. Benitez returning to his old club. He'd earlier said in the week that Newcastle needed a miracle to stay up. Well, they certainly weren't going to get one here. They did have an early chance from Hoffenheim, but his header went wide. Shaqiri missed a sitter after that, and then the opening goal, Lovren's great half volley after a poor defensive header. A Shaqiri free kick was tipped over by Dubravka, but the Magpies held out to the break, only 1-0 Liverpool. Second half, and Salah made a meal of a slight touch from a defender. He fell down in the box. Referee awarded a penalty, and Salah jumped up and obliged. That was 2-0. Then Shaqiri got in on the act. He polished off a period of pressure from a nice assist by Alexander-Arnold. And then Liverpool who seemed to be scoring goals for fun. Fabinho came on and he managed to head in from a corner on 85 minutes. This is real title winning form, and it finished 4-0 to Liverpool. So to Wembley. Spurs at home to Bournemouth. Spurs coming off that 6-2 mauling that they gave Everton. But they were out Dele Alli for this one. He got a hamstring problem. Otherwise, they were unchanged. Early chances for the Cherries were spurned when two players got in each other's way, and they dearly paid for it. On 16 minutes, Sissoko linked up with Kane. The ball came back to Eriksen on the edge of the area, and his snapshot was deflected off Lemur, and that was 1-0 to Spurs. 7 minutes later, after a defensive error by Daniels, Son on the edge of the box slotted the ball into the corner. He's becoming a deadly finisher, is Son. And 35 minutes, Winks got the ball out onto Walker Peters, on the right, and his pullback was met by Mora, and that was 3-0. Late chance for Bournemouth in the half, but Daniel's header was blocked by Lloris. So 3-0 at the break. Second half, Stanislav had a goal chalked off for offside, but then normal service was resumed on 61 when Eriksen chipped over the top of defence, and Kane, doing what he does best, hit the ball on the volley sweetly in the corner. It was 4-0. On 70 minutes, Son got his second, and it was a lovely touch, connecting to finish the game 5-0 to Spurs. They are on a roll, and they're now up to second. So how would Everton get on when they visited Burnley? Well, they got on very well. In fact, they turned things around after that 6-2 defeat and hammered Burnley by 5-1. It didn't take them long to get on the score sheet. Their big Colombian centre-half Mina headed in from a Dana's cross after 2 minutes. This Dina free kick beat Hart at the near post, and that was 2-0 Toffees. And then a third from the penalty spot by Sigurdsson put them 3 up, and only 22 minutes on the clock. From there on, Burnley were always chasing the game, and Richarlison finished the rout on 93 minutes, but Digne on 71 got his 4th. There was a consolation goal for Burnley, which pulled it back to 3-1 from Gibson on 31 minutes. But although Deitch complained that they should have had a penalty, which could have made it 3-2, to be perfectly frank, Burnley were totally outclassed. So Marco Silva back in the winning circle after an excellent 5-1 win. At Vicarage Road, Chelsea the visitors. This looked on paper to be a good clash. I didn't see much of the highlights, but it ended up being the Eden Hazard show. Chelsea won the game by 2-1. Hazard opened the scoring just before the interval. Prior to that, there hadn't been a lot going on. Decore had hit a shot over after good work. But anyway, as I say, Hazard managed to round the goalkeeper from a great pass after Watford lost possession just inside their own half. He rounded the keeper and tapped it into an empty net. We looked like we were going to the break 1-0, but none of it. Pereira connected in the 3rd minute of added time, connected with a great shot direct from a corner, so it was 1-1. 58 minutes, Jorginho's delightful dink to Hazard, and he was taken out by Foster, and that led to a penalty. And who else? Eden Hazard converted it. 2-1 up then. Chelsea could have had more. Willian hit a post and Kante hit a shot wide. Chelsea back in the winning circle, victorious by 2-1. Brighton at home to Arsenal at the Amex. Duffy was back for Brighton, and they needed this after the number of red cards recently. It was no dunk, of course. 7 minutes, Aubameyang made it look all so easy again with a smart finish after extremely poor Brighton defending. But then on 35 minutes, Locadio managed to level things, and it was 1-1 at the break. The second half, there were a few chances. Brighton played well. Arsenal really didn't get going, and I have to say it was the right result, 1 each. Emery's got a few problems. Ozil was withdrawn at the interval, not sure why, but their great early season form seems to have evaporated. To Selhurst Park then, Cardiff the visitors. This fixture brought together the two coaches, Hodgson aged 71 and Warner aged 70. This is a record for the Premier League, the age of the coaches being 141. Well, that must tell you something about these two men. That was possibly the highlight of the game. Townsend chipped against the bar early on, and that was the only chance of a dull first half. Mihalovic hit a post in the second half, and Saha had a shot just wide, went wide, and later was through, but a great last-ditch tackle kept it goalless. Etheridge was good for Cardiff. They didn't really have much up front, really, and the result was a goalless draw. This is the final fixture that happened on the 27th in the Boxing Day matches, and it was at St Mary's. West Ham were the visitors. Ings continued up front with Austin on the bench. Still no Arnautovic or Hernandez. In fact, West Ham have got so many injuries they couldn't complete their bench. Early Saints on top, but the first shot of any merit came from Snodgrass on 18 minutes, easily gathered in by the keeper. And it was Snodgrass again who had a good chance on 44 minutes following a swift, crisp move by West Ham, but his shot went wide. So we were goalless at the break, and a few minutes after the restart, on the 49th, a beautiful cross from the right. There was a mix-up in the Hammers' defence. 2 or 3 shots were saved by defenders and goalkeeper Fabianski, but Redmond finally got a touch on the ball, and it was over the line, and the Saints were up by 1-0. Well, West Ham didn't take long to respond, and that Brazilian Anderson hit a sweet strike in the corner on 52 minutes, and he was at it again 6 minutes later. A swift counter-attack, and Anderson collects Antonio's pass, and he outstrips the defence and pushes the ball into the left corner. So they turned it around. It was 2-1. On 74 minutes, Fabianski was forced to make a great save, thwarting Famina, but West Ham went away with all the points, and their good run continues. So basically that's it for this set of fixtures, but we've got more on Saturday. A quick look at the table. Liverpool are on 51 points now, for 6 ahead of Spurs. Man City have slipped to third there on 44. Chelsea are on 40. West Ham have got 38 points and Man U on 32. And in 7th now is Leicester on 28. At the bottom, Fulham have come off the bottom, replaced by Huddersfield on 10. And Burnley have slipped into the bottom 3 as well. The goal of the week. Well, I'm going to give it to, guess what, Ricardo Pereira for Leicester's winner that meant that City had lost back-to-back matches. So we'll remember it through that absolutely superb strike. I'll be back tomorrow with the prediction show.